everyone, and thank you so much for coming today. We're blessed with this day, I think. This is a huge day for our town. I'm Jenny Post. I'm president of the Board of Trustees of the library. As most of you know, creating this library has been a really long process. You can laugh. Lots of people laughed through the years, trust me. But more than 20 years actually have passed since the board and the staff first identified the need for more space. And ambitious plans that we laid for making a newer and larger library weathered some real challenges with the early years of the internet, when people thought books were going to be extinct and that libraries would go down with them. And that didn't happen, thank goodness. And then the financial downturn of 2008. So we kept it going against all odds. More than 750 individuals, local businesses, foundations, and state funding sources have supported this project to join together to make this glorious space. Throughout the years it's taken, the trustees have been really touched by the number of people who've contributed from all amounts, from very modest gifts to really astoundingly generous ones, and many people gave over and over again. The very long list of donors is on our website, of course, but it's also scrolling inside the library on one of our brand new monitors. So look for your name. If I've spelled it wrong, let me know. I'll try to be nice and fix it. There's so many, and I did my best, but we can always fix things. And there's a list of significant gifts, a plaque. It's a temporary form. We'll get the full one once everything's settled. But just next to the elevator door at our main entrance here, so take a look at that as well. And we have our custom inscribed bricks that 200 people have purchased, little bricks right here on the terrace behind me. And those are still available, and they won't be installed until the spring, but you're welcome to join that if you haven't already. I really have to acknowledge a couple of really special people. Our director, Thea Scoop, who's put her heart and formidable energy into making this library. She also used that energy and talent to recruit an amazing amount of volunteers to move that collection from that little building to our current one, our new one, and in just 2 weeks, which people who know about moving libraries will say that that's really a short time frame. But she did it beautifully. Our architect, Linda McNutt. Yeah. She was always responsive and largely amenable to our many, many requests for changes that often cost a little more. And finally, there are 2 trustees who really were principally responsible for all of this. Joan Steiner.
Hey, Joan.
Yeah. When you go into the main floor upstairs, look up, because there's a roof monitor, if you haven't seen it, with light, and that is Joan. So just think of her for a moment. Her vision started this journey, and we wish she could be here to see it today. And Susan Roberts, she would hate this totally, but she served nearly 18 years on this board, so I think there's a special place for her. She's consistently prevailed with her calm and measured handling of the library's finances and kept us all kind of sane as we went through the ups and the downs. Looking back, it all seems like a miracle, but here we are with a beautiful new library, and it's because of the dreams of a few somehow became the project of the whole community. It's here for you now with all kinds of promise to better serve you. After years of asking people to give or to charge us less, I have to ask for one more thing. Use this library, make it yours, grow in it, and be sure to let us know what you'd like to see happen here. We'll work together to assure that it does. So at long last, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to your new library. So it's my pleasure, too, to introduce the next speaker, who's our Claverack Town Supervisor, Kippy Weigelt.
Just kidding.
Kippy, by the way.
That's not kidding.
Thank you to Supervisor Weigelt for letting me slip in here. I am Susan Roberts. Jenny mentioned that the need for more library space was recognized by trustees 20 years ago. Joan Steiner inspired and led the project until we lost Joan in 2010. At that time, we still needed approximately $2 million. Who among us would agree to try to raise $2 million for a new library? The only person who raised her hand to put her name on that daunting task was Jenny Post. In the past couple years, it became apparent that the project was going to be a success, so that was the easy part. But there were times, even years, when there was a lot of doubt about the likelihood of completing this project. One day, when things were looking particularly bleak, not having any idea of where to look for more money, Jenny said, "Oh, I think I'll look for a 4-leaf clover." There's a patch of clover right behind the former library by the shed, and sure enough, she found a 4-leaf clover. She had a good laugh and carried on, even when the progress was disappointing and very slow. When she started, Jenny couldn't bring herself to ask anyone for money, but it didn't take long. She became shameless. I'm quite sure that anyone who has worked in Dee Dee Barrett's office in the last 9 years, or Kathy Marchionne's office, or Daphne Jordan's office, and certainly Rebecca's office at Mid-Hudson, would know Jenny Post's name and her association with the Claverack Library. She emailed, she called, she visited. On a local level, she's been saying for years that she's quite sure that when she sees people, she knows at a distance they scatter in the opposite direction. Everyone knows that she will be asking for something for the library. She has been relentless. One of the great themes of today is that it takes a community to build a library, which is true. It's so absolutely true. Present trustees and past trustees, friends of the library, volunteers, and staff have given countless hours to keep the library operating and to create a new one. But someone had to harness all of that good energy and generosity. Without a leader, the project would not have happened. Someone had to take the reins. She likes horses too, and coordinate the willing efforts and resources of all. Before we move forward to the wonderful things that will happen in the new library, let's take a moment to acknowledge that it was Jenny's willingness to make this project a full-time job, unpaid of course, for much of the past 9 years. Thank you, Jenny Post, for leading us into the new library. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our town supervisor, Mr. Kippy Weigelt.
Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, on this whole great day, I think, we're honoring all the people that have done a lot of work, but there's a lot of people that have done more than their share and haven't been notified that they've done a great job. So everybody that donated money, that volunteers to work here, everybody here, I think we give them a big round of applause for the job that they have done. Great job. Thank you. As supervisor, I've been in politics, I should say, many, many years ago, and this project's been going on for many, many years. And I think that's the best thing about it. We could drive by and always see the progress that was going on. A lot of people said it probably never get built, and I said, I know the people that are doing this, and they're not going to stop. And look where we are today, a beautiful building behind us for the people of Claverack. Fantastic job, everybody. Thank you. As a personal note, I'd just like to tell everybody that, when I was in high school, well, before I even got to high school, I failed 4th grade. I didn't want to concentrate on school. But then I decided, I can get through this. I can make it happen. So on my senior year, when I had only 3 classes to go to, I only had 5 periods to do something with. So what I did is spend it in the library. I read every Reader's Digest there ever could be. I became a speed reader. I've done that all my life. And I think, a library is so important that all this stuff is here. And I think the biggest thing we got to get the kids away from, with texting and everything else, is sit down and read a book. Get involved in a book. I read a book every week. Can't wait till tomorrow when it's raining. I'm sitting in front of the fireplace with a hot chocolate in my book. It's fantastic. Best time. It's quiet time. You don't have to deal with anything. So I got to say, being personally involved with this, it's a fantastic thing for the community. And again, I want to thank you all for where we are today. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm so good at this. Thank you. I would like to point out that a number of our elected officials, everybody we could think of pretty much, with the exception of the White House down, we invited. That's not a political statement, right? Senator Daphne Jordan couldn't be with us today, but she has issued a proclamation, and I would like to read it. But she was instrumental in helping us fund this project. It says, Senator Daphne Jordan's certificate of recognition presented to the Claverack Free Library as you celebrate your grand opening. The New York State Senate thanks you for your outstanding efforts to promote literacy in our communities. So it's a very nice gesture here. I'm sorry she couldn't join us. Our next speaker is Executive Director of the New York Library Association. Jeremy Johansson he must live advocacy for this project, and it's thanks to his efforts and his organization's efforts to really get the word out that libraries are relevant and they're worth funding, and he's done great things for us. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Johansson.
Thank you, everyone. It's my honor to be here with you today on this special day in Claverack. T.S. Eliot wrote that the mere existence of libraries is evidence that there is hope yet for mankind. And that is what today is about. Today is about hope. Today is about the hope of every member of this community that tomorrow could be a better day than today. And you all know that every library is not a dusty box of books, right? It's not about the books. It's about the community coming together and providing the access to the information and the resources that allow every person that's going to cross this beautiful new threshold to pursue their best selves. So I offer my congratulations to Tia, to the board, to the supervisor, to every member of this community and everyone that's here today, and everyone that will be here day after day, pursuing what they can through the doors of this library. So thank you all, and congratulations to you all.
Next up, we have our U.S. Congressman, Antonio Delgado.
Thank you. Well, first of all, this is a beautiful fall day. Really nice to be here to celebrate the opening of the Claverack Free Library. I want to first just say thank you to everybody here. This is a great turnout. To see so many faces and so many folks a part of the community come out to celebrate this. It's a testament to the bond of the community, a testament to how important it is to see value in institutions like this, like libraries, things that bring people together. We need a lot more of that here and all across the country, for that matter. I also want to just thank Jenny for your leadership in this space, Thea Scoop for your leadership as well in this space, Town Supervisor Kippy Wago, thank you, sir. I loved your honesty in that speech. Very nice, very nice. I will also note, Jenny, that I can kind of relate to having to swallow a bit of the shame when it comes to fundraising. So, kudos to you for bearing and gritting it for the greater good. I also want to acknowledge my good friend, Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett. Yes, indeed. Jeremy Johansson, again, thank you for your words, as well as Executive Director of the Mid-Hudson Library, Rebecca Aldrich. Thank you. Yes. So it's great to be here. It's really nice to be able to open up a facility that celebrates knowledge, celebrates information. The importance of knowledge is, I think, abundantly clear. Earlier today, I took my little boys with me to Rhinebeck High School. The Rhinebeck Science Foundation did a wonderful display of exercises for the young kids. They had them doing green screens where they were flying and acting like they were in the Harry Potter movie, and They had them, using the stethoscope to check the hearts of little teddy bears, and just to see their minds light up at an early age, it was very exciting. And then to come from that, I literally just left that, and to come here and honor or be a part of an opening, it's very, very nice to have that experience. I can tell you that we have to be important to understand the history here. Claverack's Free Library has a long-standing history in Columbia County as a home for readers and writers, as many communities for a long time. Today we celebrate a new facility that will not only transform one of the most valuable and visible institutions in our community, but also help shape it for future generations. Today we celebrate a project supported by our entire community. More than 700 of our neighbors, local organizations, and facilities chipped in to facilitate the new library. This facility was also made possible by construction grants from New York State's Division of Library Development, the Economic Development Program, and the State and Municipal Facilities Program, and a capital campaign. These grants and this community participation show the commitment to literacy and education from all of us here in the community. Now, growing up, my parents instilled in me the importance of education. They talked a lot about education being the great equalizer in our society, no matter where you start, no matter where you come from, the gateway to opportunity. And I'm a big believer in that. I've lived out that reality. And so every chance we get to provide access to information and knowledge, to enhance young people's imaginations, to make them more self-determined as they come of age. And it doesn't stop when you're young, right? You always should want to learn. You always should want to empower yourself as you grow. The world is a marvelous place, and there's always an abundance of mystery to it. And so the joy one should get from that process is a part of the human experience. And libraries are the bastion for that very experience. And so it's a real pleasure to be here today to celebrate the opening up of this new library. I will note, a couple key things about this library. There's a new children's room with children's computers and book collection. There's a dedicated teens space, community music and gallery space, additional break rooms for staff who keep the library operational. The library also has critical broadband internet access for our rural community. I know how important that is. And so it's a wonderful place. And I just want to thank everybody for their leadership, for rallying around this library. And it is a real pleasure to be with you today. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Now, it's my true pleasure to introduce our neighbor, our assemblywoman, who actually was in this building before before you were elected, I believe, and hearing about our needs for additional space. So Dee Dee's been a good friend throughout the whole process, and we're very grateful for her support. And I will now give you our assembly member, Dee Dee Barrett.
Thank you. Well, this is a wonderful day for Claverack, and as a resident of Claverack, I feel part of you and in celebrating the joy of this new repurposed building. Nobody has mentioned that yet, but this is the former firehouse that is now a library, which I think is extraordinary foresight on the part of all of you who had the vision not only to expand the library, but to take advantage of a space that wasn't being used anymore and keep it right here. I think we're going to see total transformation of this little hamlet here in Claverack as a result of this, and the buzz of life that we already see when there's a sale and when it will just be exponential in our wonderful town here. So congratulations to all of you. I had the great joy of chairing the Libraries Committee for the Assembly for a little over a year, and just so you know, there is no shame in asking for money to support things you believe in. And I think that that's something I've lived my whole life, whether I was on the, on the side of being a board member or now, as a legislator that has to run for office every 2 years. If you believe in it, there's nothing wrong with asking for money. No shame there. So I think the support that we need, and I was very pleased to be able to bring $250,000 from New York State money here to this project. But we're going to need to keep running it. We're going to need to get the lights on all the time and keep the internet going and make sure there's programming. So You will all continue to ask for money. I know that, and I hope all of you will continue to support them. I just want to share our New York State Assembly citation, which I will give to Jenny or to Thea, and see if I can read it without my glasses here. The New York State Assembly is hereby presents this citation to the Claverack Free Library in recognition of the grand opening celebration of the library. This new library will be a beautiful gathering place for all residents of Claverack and beyond, as well as a place to broaden the imagination, cultivate creativity, and experience new worlds. It will inspire generations, new and old, to pursue learning and strengthen community bonds. We congratulate you and wish you continued success. I look forward to many years of enjoying this library with my children and hopefully someday my grandchildren. Thank you.
Now, the one super key individual who helped us through how many rounds of funding, construction grants. There was one time I went to a workshop for this construction grant funding, and Rebecca said to the other participants, "Don't be like Claverack." Meaning it took us way too long, but we did it, and I smiled, I guess. But anyway, Rebecca Smith-Aldrich is now the executive director of the Mid-Hudson Library System, which is hugely supportive of every branch within its jurisdiction and does so much advocacy on our behalf and helps us raise funds and guides us through professional training and keeps us honest and as professional as a group of volunteers could possibly be. But it's my pleasure to welcome Rebecca Smith-Aldrich.
I like how she set the bar very low for your expectations of me. I would just like to say that comment was made because the fundraising hit that snag during the recession, and what a challenge that was. Yesterday, many people in this audience were actually with me at the, including Dee Dee, was at the Presidential Library in Hyde Park, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Presidential Library and Museum. And upon the dedication of his own presidential library, he said that the dedication of a library is in and of itself an act of faith. And I feel that way every time we have the joyous occasion of coming to a grand library opening such as this one. And for more so, I think for this one is personal for me, because as I look around this crowd and I look at the wonderful people behind me that were on this board who made this happen, the act of faith that they had, that this community would pull together and create something wonderful for itself, is what I think this today is really about. So I just would like to ask you to look at the person to your left and to your right and say thank you, because you made this happen. You made this happen for yourselves. You should be extremely proud of this. You have changed the life for yourself, but of the many people who will walk through the doors after today, what libraries do for people is not only become the great equalizer, but let you decide what your life will be like in the future. If you would like to make your own life a little different, or make your children's lives a little better, or find a way to make your community a little better, the library is the platform to do that work. So congratulations to you all. I will stop talking because I can feel the anxiety. You just want to get through the door and see the thing already. So I'll just stop by saying congratulations. It's a wonderful day for you.
And now we're going to give the privilege of bringing home the speeches to our director, Thea Scoop, who has put so much energy and talent into this whole effort. And she's been so tolerant of the board as we come at her with a million questions all the time and interrupt her work. And she's been unbelievably steady and energetic and positive about all this project. So Thea is going to make a few remarks, and then we're going to cut our ribbon.
Okay, so this is like one of the best days ever. Seriously, it's an amazing day. The names of those that I need to thank are many, too many to name all of them. So I'll just start by saying thank you to our library staff, both longtime and new, for the hours and dedication that's been contributed to in the last weeks, which is why we could pack and move into this library so quickly. Thank you to the many volunteers. We typically report over 90 volunteers annually between fundraiser events, programs, and everyday library business. When the all hands on deck call was sent out, All hands showed up and brought their neighbors too. Thank you to my family, who's been incredibly supportive and mostly patient. Finally, thank you to the Board of Trustees, both current and past. Without their vision in the early days and continued commitment through the last few years of planning and the final push fundraising, we wouldn't be here. This group of 11 individuals, all with different backgrounds, lives, and opinions, have made the journey not only possible, but successful. Truly, they created a library for everyone, and most amazingly, no debt has been incurred and no local tax dollars spent. It's so exciting that we can now offer a fully accessible library with activity space, reading nooks, high-speed internet access, a place of learning and enjoyment and discovery. So come, join us as we enter the future and the new home of the Claverack Free Library. One last little housekeeping thing. We will be opening this door and ribbon cutting here, but there will also be access at the 9H level. So if you'd like to, you could walk up the driveway and enter through the front door there as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'll step aside and let everyone in. Can you get everyone in? Everybody should be in there. Yeah? Push a little together, just a little. I turned around and I was like, this is what it must be like. Yes. Everybody ready to cut? Yeah. Photographers? Okay. Open them all the way. Open them all the way. Straight on. Okay. Count to 3. Okay. Gonna count to 3, everybody. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Cut.